Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's kick our video off with a story about how a friendly gesture turned into a nightmare of neighborly drama. This is a tale of how one small act of kindness spiraled into a year-long battle of boundaries, ending in a well-deserved eviction. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like if you enjoy the content, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a juicy story. The worst neighbors I've ever had. Back when I was living with my ex-husband like 5 years ago, our area had a decent cost of living and I was making good money. So we were in this super nice apartment complex. It was all recently remodeled in a really convenient part of town, lots of amenities, huge pool, fitness center, free on-site laundry, private dog park, all kinds of stuff. It was great. And super quiet. All around great to live in. We lived in the middle unit on our floor, so we had one unit to our left and one to our right. One day I noticed we were getting new neighbors on our left. Being the friendly person I am, I whipped up some cookies, one batch of normal chocolate chunk with salted caramel, and one batch of gluten-free, dairy-free chocolate chip, just in case they have dietary restrictions. I bring them over in nice little boxes wrapped in ribbon, along with a card saying, "Welcome to the community. If you ever need anything, reach out," etc., etc. So I go over and knock, and when the door opens, I see this lady with, I'm not joking, like 8 kids. My stomach drops. I know this is gonna suck. But I'm hoping maybe they aren't all hers, she's babysitting, or they're having a play date or something. I introduce myself anyway, welcome her, all that, and ask, "So are all the little ones yours?" She gives me an enthusiastic yes and starts running me through all their names and ages. I zone out because I couldn't care less, and then she asks how many I have. I tell her none, and my husband and I love our pup enough to be satisfied with him. Her entire demeanor changes. She looks at me like I just ran over her mom, and she goes, "Well, that's disappointing. Haven't you considered how selfish you're being? Everyone needs a little baby. Who's going to take care of you when you're older? What are you even going to do with your life?" I'm internally rolling my eyes severely, but I just tell her I'm focusing on my degree and my career, that I'm in the human services/social work field because I want to dedicate my life to helping others. And my lifestyle just doesn't include a child. She responds with more bullcrap about how the best way to help the world is to bring more babies into it, blah, blah, blah. I zone out harder. At this point, I'm trying to get out of there, and so I change the subject and give her the cookies. Before I can explain which is which, she rips open the wrapping and shoves one of the gluten dairy-free cookies in her mouth, chews for a second, and then spits it out onto the ground next to where I'm standing. She looks at me all disgusted and is like, "What the F are these? They're effing gross." I explained to her that they're gluten/dairy-free because I wasn't sure if they had restrictions, and that the other box has the regular cookies. She rolls her eyes and shoves the first box back into my hands, opens the normal cookies and eats one and says, "Yeah, these are better. You really shouldn't give people those other nasty things. They're disgusting." I took them back home after all this, and several friends of mine tried them. I thought they were pretty good, and so did everyone else. They just weren't exactly the same as a traditional cookie. Not bad, though. Her children are now behind her, seeing that she has cookies, and as kids do, are now begging for them. Now, I made a dozen. Seems like a reasonable amount for any family, right? Even if they had 4 kids, they could each have 2. But again, these people have 8. At this point, I was kind of just over the interaction, gave her the card, and was about to go back to my apartment when she goes, "Wait." I turned back around and look at her. She says, "You only brought 12. There's 10 of us here. Me and my husband want to eat 2 cookies, so what, my kids only get 1 each?" I'm internally rolling my eyes again, but I say, "I'm sorry, but I had no idea you had so many kids when I made them." I try to leave again, and this time she grabs me by the shoulder and demands that I make them another batch, saying, "My kids deserve more than 1 cookie. You don't have kids, you don't do crap all day, just go make more. You don't have anything else to do, you owe it to them." Her kids are still crying and begging in the background, and she points this out. "Look at them. Look how sad you're making them. Does that make you feel good, making children cry?" I flat out refuse and tell her that if I had known she was going to be so rude and ungrateful, I wouldn't have bothered in the first place. I snatch the box of cookies from her hand and go back into my apartment. I thought that would end it. I was wrong. She then opens my door and starts to walk inside, yelling about how those are her children's cookies and that I should be ashamed of myself for stealing from a child. I push her back out again, slam the door closed, and lock it. She then proceeds to pound on my door and scream at the top of her lungs, demanding not only the original box of cookies, but several more batches because I was such a B-word that her children and her deserved them. She went on like this for at least 25 minutes before our landlord got involved. My building was right next to the leasing office, so I'm sure she heard the screaming pretty clearly. She was told to leave me alone, and under no circumstances was that level of noise or that kind of behavior acceptable. That ended the craziness that day, but honestly, it was insufferable living next to her. There was constant screaming and crying and loud noise at all hours every single day. If I or any of our other neighbors complained, we were being stuck up and rude because they're just kids. There were always gross bags full of dirty diapers sitting outside right in between her door and mine. Again, my complaints were futile. Her kids were always playing on the stairs and the deck leading up to our apartments, making them a hazard because they were constantly underfoot whenever I'd leave or come home. When I brought this up, I was told kids are allowed to play wherever they want, and if they get hurt, it's your fault. They also harassed my dog, a corgi puppy I'd trained as an ESA, every time I took him out, to the point where he developed anxiety toward going outside. Thankfully, I handled that pretty definitively. When on one occasion, one of the little brats walked up and smacked my pup directly in the face and pulled on his ears. He yelped in pain and then growled and snapped, and I absolutely lost it. I screamed my head off at all of the kids, told them if they ever touched my dog or so much as came near him again, I'd have him eat them. And if that didn't work, I'd call the dog police and have them all arrested. It's silly, but they were young enough that it worked really well. All this nonsense went on for almost a year, with my landlord getting more and more fed up with the constant complaints and her constantly using the "they're just kids" defense until it finally happened. At some point, their destructive little monsters had somehow put a hole in the wall we shared. While I was waiting for maintenance to come fix it, I noticed a roach scuttle out of the hole and into my apartment. I killed it immediately, but everyone knows if you see one roach, you have a ton. I put duct tape over the hole and then went and pounded on their door. When she answered, I just completely lost it on her. I screamed in her face about how disrespectful and nasty her and her family were, how I couldn't believe she was okay with wallowing in her own filth like a pig, and how she should have her entire little brood of screaming monsters taken from her for being so disgusting and revolting, to the point of cultivating a roach infestation. I seriously just let her have it for like a full 5 minutes straight. And when I was done, I went back into my apartment, made sure my pup was kenneled, locked my door, and marched down to the office. I guess in the time it took for me to kennel the pup and everything, she had called down and reported me for harassing her because my landlord asked what had happened. I filled her in on the situation, explaining about the roaches and their disgusting living conditions. She was furious. She inspected both of our apartments and pointed out that our lease includes a clause about maintaining sanitary conditions and avoiding infestations. They ended up with a 30-day eviction notice, and they tried to guilt trip me, calling me a B-word, asking how I felt making a family with young kids homeless, blah, blah, blah. I didn't care at all. The day they moved their crap out and left was the happiest day of my life, to be honest. I think that lady gave birth to enough kids to cover 3 or 4 child-free couples of the world. And our next story. I don't care that this pool is for adults. My kid wants to use it. My husband and I are currently vacationing at a 5-star hotel. There are 2 separate pools, one for kids and families, and the Serenity quiet one for adults. 21 plus is enforced. Both pools are very clearly marked as such by large signs placed around the perimeters of each. We've been here for a few days, and it's been literal paradise. We've not run into too many families, and those that we did see were exceptionally well behaved and attended to by their parents. Until today. We went to the adult pool and got set up on 2 chairs. The pool was in front of us and the hot tub was behind us. It was a tad chilly, so we ventured over to the hot tub where we saw a kid about 7 playing with a crap ton of Star Wars toys on the steps. Call me a Karen, I don't care, but this set me off. We came to this resort specifically because of the 2 very separate pools with enforced rules. I want to relax. I don't feel like hearing screaming kids on vacation. I went over to the attendant stand and asked if the hot tub was for families, and if so, was there an adults-only hot tub we might be directed to? I knew the answer, I just didn't want to come across as too aggressive. I was told that the hot tub was indeed for adults only, so I proceeded to tell both pool attendants that there was a child in the hot tub, and I didn't know if his parent was nearby. Both pool attendants were basically like, hell no, and walked very fast over to the hot tub and told a woman who was apparently the mother, EM, of the child that it was adults only and they had to leave. The kid was told to get out. Crying and screaming ensued, and he and the mom just sat on the chairs. But wait, there's more. After about 5 to 10 minutes, they were still sitting on the chairs in the adult area. And again, the attendant came over and informed them that the area was adults only, and they're not even allowed to sit there, even if they're not actively using the hot tub. EM was pissed, angrily packed up their stuff, and both were ushered out of the adults area. I suspect they were there because the kids' pool area was super busy and EM didn't want to deal with other kids or couldn't score a chair. We tipped the attendants generously on our way out and are already planning our next vacation here. I wish more businesses would realize that not everyone wants to commingle with families and kids. Edit. It happened again today. We were at the adult pool again this morning, and a mother pushing a stroller with another kid in tow tried to sneak in the side entrance of the adult pool area. Not so fast. The same attendant from above stopped them and escorted them out so fast their heads must have been spinning. The kids' pool's absolute madness right now, with it being Mother's Day, and there aren't many chairs left, so I'm guessing she thought the rules don't apply to her. This amazing attendant will be getting another generous tip today. I don't think that's being a Karen. You're there for a reason, and people not following the rules upsets other people's quiet time. The resort has a kid area and a pool, so there was zero reason the kid should have been there. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.